So we're going to go ahead and get started. Want to welcome everybody to the Let's Talk About It discussion. It's a weekly discussion where we talk about a different topic that affects Blacks economically. We've talked about subjects ranging from sports and our ownership or lack of ownership in teams to Bitcoin to investing in raw land. And we had a great discussion last week talking about AI and Black economic freedom. So that's why we decided to do a follow-up on our topic of AI, but this time it's going to be a little more focused. And we're going to jump right into that after I tell you about the disclaimer. So the information presented is strictly for educational purposes. We strongly encourage you to consult with a licensed financial advisor, attorneys, or tax professional before making any significant decisions or investments. Though the individuals that you hear have decades of experience, they may not be licensed or registered with any regulatory authority. The insights are intended to inform and empower. And by continuing to attend, you acknowledge that you are solely responsible for your financial decisions. So let's jump into the topic for today. AI and your job, 6 seismic shifts that are coming. And we have an honored guest today. Mike Johns is here to talk to us about those 6 seismic shifts. My team, myself and Julian Mosley, will be asking Mike some questions pertaining to 6 seismic shifts. And so the three of us will have a discussion talking through those 6 seismic shifts. And then after we finish discussing it, we're going to open it up to Q&A for the audience. And then I will end with an explanation of why you should join the Closed Private Investment Network. Because this presentation, this discussion is brought to you by the Closed Private Investment Network, CPIN, where we have our 3 pillars of community, education, and investment. So we're a community of like-minded people that come together to practice cooperative group economics. We have a knowledge center that allows you to get educated financially so that you can understand the risk associated with investments and have a higher risk tolerance. And then we present curated investment opportunities, allowing you to pool your money with other like-minded people in order to invest in private offerings that you typically either wouldn't be eligible for or couldn't afford. So we'll talk more about the CPIN at the very end, but I'm gonna turn it over to Julian Mosley, who is our Chief Business Development Officer for the BNIC network, the company that actually runs the CPIN, and he's going to introduce Mike Johns.
So thank you, Mike. Appreciate the introduction. So as Mike said, I am part of the executive board for CPIN, and we're really excited today to bring a topic and a keynote speaker on a topic that we really believe is one of the most important things changing the face of how we work, shaping the economics of tomorrow. It's really a foundational principle that we believe is important for anybody that is looking to invest for tomorrow needs to understand with some degree of detail. And so to that end, who we have today, speaking up for our weekly Let's Talk About It topic, is a gentleman by the name of Mike Johns. I'm really excited to have him as our speaker today because I have digested and consumed a lot of his content. He's definitely not only an author, a futurist, a keynote speaker, a businessman, and a professor, but he's in general just a thought leader in this space. And I really respect his point of view, given that over the last 15 years of my career, I've spent uh, basically the majority of my career designing, selling, and delivering on solutions focused on AI into retail and consumer good companies for both IBM and Fujitsu. So I'm very familiar with this space, especially with regards to how it's applied to large enterprise environments. I've worked very closely on implementing AI solutions for solutions like the autonomous checkout that you see at Amazon Fresh stores that allow you to walk into the store, essentially grab product off the shelf and walk out. Behind that is a tremendous amount of AI. And so I certainly appreciate what it is doing to the dynamics of our workforce today, and I'm excited to dive into the topics that Mike Johns is going to share with us. And so the format here for the conversation for the next few minutes really will be we're going to allow Mike to kind of introduce himself and set the table for the conversation. Then we're going to talk through these 6 seismic shifts. It kind of a high level, but Mike and I will kind of facilitate some dialogue around that. And then, as Mike said, we'll turn that over. Then we'll turn it over to some questions from the community. So, with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Mike for a bit of an introduction and to set the table for the conversation. Mike.
So I think that Mike Johns is having some technical problems. He's popping in and out of our Zoom meeting. He's trying to get his camera to work. So we're having some technical difficulties. So give us a quick minute. I'm going to turn back on the music. He says that he's resetting his
Well,
computer.
and Mike, maybe what you could do while we're waiting for Mike to rejoin is could you pull up the deathofthejob.com, and maybe the community here can kind of at least start to look at some of the 6 seismic shifts that we're going to be talking about to start wrapping their heads around them.
Sure, let me go and
And,
grab it.
and oh, by the way, to that point, I'm also going to drop the link to the website in our chat here too.
So, and
Perfect.
okay, and so these are the 6 seismic shifts that we're going to be talking about today. The algorithmic restructuring of work, AI as the new coworker, or sometimes the boss, beyond automation, the dawn of agentic intelligence at work, the algorithmic underclass, automation's threat to workforce equity, the currency of trust in the age of autonomy, and being skilled, becoming a lifetime student. And so those are the 6 um, shifts that we're going to be talking about. I don't want to steal Mike's thunder, so I don't want to go into them, but we do have put the link to the book's website, and we are just waiting for Mike to come back. So, were any of you at the last Sunday's discussion when we talked about AI? If so, raise your hand. Okay. Um, Nilda, what did you think about last week's discussion? You're on mute. You're still on mute. There you
Hear
go.
me now?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. Thanks. I thought it was great. I love this forum. It was my first time. And I thought it was great that we are collaborating amongst each other to help each other grow and for us to be able to build that economic wealth. My my background is in business marketing and technology, having worked with Microsoft, Deloitte, AT&T, and EDS, have been in the AI space for quite some time from a corporate standpoint. And now I have a certification in AI and working more on the workforce development end because I do have that workforce development lens as well as the supplier diversity. And so really looking forward to hearing this evening's discussion.
Thank you. Yeah. So we're definitely going to be talking about how AI is impacting the workforce.
Yes.
Um, the name of the book is Death of a Job. And so it definitely is already impacting.
Mhm.
Mark, what about your takeaways from last week?
I thought it was a phenomenal discussion. And I think jump started me to go even more in depth and really get familiar with the tools out there. I probably fall somewhere in the middle with the audience with usage of AI, uh, but I'm seeing now that really a single person could start and scale a company and make a few $1 million if they know how to really leverage these tools. So I don't think if it's not going to take your job, the person that knows how to use it is going to take your job.
Yeah, I heard a quote from the CEO of NVIDIA, the largest um, company by market cap. Um, and this is what he said. He said, AI will either impact your job or take your job. And that's for everyone. It's either going to change it or it's going to take it. I saw Mike pop in and then, oh, there he is. Um, Mike, are you able to join us? You're still on mute. And did he pop back out?
It looks like he's still here. Maybe he's struggling with the bandwidth to get his camera fired up.
Couldn't during like the technical, I just wanted to say something because I work for a company that's quickly moving to adopt AI. And but at the same time, they introduced a lot of opportunities for education to upskill. And so I've been like learning about the Gemini, and taking a lot of the Google platforms, and I went and got a second master's degree in data analytics and data science to go with my film production. And it's sort of seeing, okay, how can I make this opportunity into a new job? Because it seems to me that the company is, and I work for a movie studio, it seems like they'll need experts who can either be champions of AI to speed up adoption or people who can coach AI to get the perfect product to release an excellent uh, entertainment piece. And how much, really the question in my mind is what interests me and what is my passion that I would want to dedicate my hours of my day. I chose data science because that's what I can get my company to pay for, but it might be AI in production. And so I think it's a lot of opportunity that, yeah, your job's going to be gone, but can you be an expert in whatever that new opportunity is?
By the way, so Lorraine, to that point, what I will say is that I think you hit the nail on the head, which is preparing yourself to be flexible enough to go in whichever direction seems to be the best application of generative AI. And so what I would suggest in this space, and what I spend a lot of time doing, is looking for specific use cases that generative AI can be used to solve specific challenges for a large enterprise. And in your case, at a movie studio, I mean, the applications, the use cases are, wide and vast. And then trying to position how to approach the application of the generative AI for those specific use cases. And each use case, whether it be, a call center, an overseas call center, or the generation of images for celebrities, or HR applications, or et cetera, right? They all offer a unique set of challenges. And with your kind of training, you can help lay out not only the business case for the application of generative AI for that use case, but also some of the pitfalls and the things that you need to be concerned of, like the tendency of the AI to hallucinate. And what does that really mean to the business? How do you protect the data that you're using, that the AI has access to, and a whole host of other security and privacy concerns. So I think it's an exciting time, and I kudos to you for taking the initiative to upskill yourself and thinking about how to position yourself for the next gen.
No, thank you. I mean, I see it as an opportunity too, because the company's not just firing people, it's also releasing all these free programs and retraining people.
Retraining and staying upskilling is what they call it, right? Is being a lifelong learner, and you have to adapt with the times. And we've got Mike Johns on. Mike?
Yes, I'm here. Technical difficulties. I'm so sorry. I'm so embarrassed. I don't know what to say.
It
Zoom,
must have been the AI interfering with your camera system.
AI, hallucinations, all that. Glitches need stitches. But let's go. I value time. Julian, you were starting off with a great
Yes,
introduction.
you
I wanted
missed
to
my
get,
illustrious introduction of you.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
no, I heard it. It just froze. I was hearing you in real time. I was like ready. You were passing me the ball, and I was trying to get there, and I couldn't get there.
Well,
Yeah.
to you, my friend Mike. Over to you.
Right on. Well,
So that might give us an introduction of yourself.
Yeah.
absolutely. And just for the record, it'll be Mike and then Michael for him. How about that? Just so that we have our cue. Mike Johns and then just Michael. Everybody cool? Yeah? Thumbs up. There we go. Uh, in short, I'm really focused on humanizing technology into everyday life. That's the short and simple. So I look at technology. I'm a futurist. I study emerging trends, what that impact will look like on society, especially the culture, from both the U.S. standpoint and then globally. And I'm dealing with everything that ranges from wearable technology, AI, of course, blockchain, space, the final frontier, and everything in between. So probably one of the coolest nerds that you guys will meet. Work with a lot of Fortune 500, 100 companies. God has been very good, and I'm really excited to release this upcoming book called Death of a Job, which really gives a highlight on what the next 5 years will look like as a result of AI and this new AI transformation. As you guys already see in the news, there's been series of layoffs since Trump has taken office. We've seen what has happened with government jobs. We've seen what's happened with the private sector. Most recently, for what I'm dealing with in Seattle, the 850 plus layoffs that Microsoft has had, and this new void that's out there with the mid-level managers. And the engineers are okay, but then the mid-level managers that are somewhere between the ages of 45 and 58, 60, somewhere in there, what's happening right there? Is it death of the job or the future of work? Is it, going from scarcity to this new era of abundance? But you got to have the eyesight. So I look forward to this conversation.
Okay, thanks. All right, Mike, thank you. So what we'd like to do is kind of go through your 6 seismic shifts and have a little bit of a conversation around each one.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so that the audience is kind of familiar with the principles that you're laying out as far as the impact of what AI is going to have, the impact of AI on the future of work. So the first one is the algorithmic restructuring of work. And so, Mike, if you would please level set by kind of describing, defining algorithmic restructuring, because you kind of use that in several of your other key seismic shifts. So I think it's important for the audience to understand what that is as you talk about how that's a
Yeah.
key element.
Thanks to AI being introduced in mainstream consumption with your chat GPT series that's coming out. We're on 4, 5, 6, and it'll just keep going. But obviously AI has been in prior products. What you're now seeing happening before us is this new transformation. And that transformation of work, we've gone from work online to now this whole digital play. So what does that look like? What does the company look like? Do we downsize? Do we upsize? There's a real shift that's already happening right now. And as I just talked about Microsoft, I can also talk about companies like Indeed as well as Glassdoor. These are job platform sites that are now realizing, hey, there's a shift that's happening here. We now need to embrace this. What does this look like? You've heard it, I think, the late night show that was formerly Dave Letterman, now that's Axe, right? So even the entertainment industry, there was a lady that's there in the film industry, and I'm doing a lot right there right now with AI in film. So when we look at what's going on with the landscape of jobs from top down, top organizations are now trying to figure it out. The key word is efficiency, right? And then profit. And as a result, everybody in between there, if we could remove and you become obsolete, that's happening. You're seeing that. You're going to see more of that next week.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's
Michael,
you're
Michael.
Michael. So Mike, could you talk a little bit about AI as the new coworker and sometimes your new boss?
Right. So let's start this off with the person that's using AI is better than the one that's not. You're going to have the job as long as you're familiar with AI. But now, thanks to large language models and everything else that's further advancing this, the new thing that's happening is that the AI also may be your boss. We'll go from you're working with AI as a tool, as this other word called an agent, but we're going to already start to morph into you'll be checking into AI. You remember when you had the assembly line and people check in, the punch clock, what time you check in? Imagine that's already AI regulated now, but now that being your boss, right when you check in, these are your tasks, these are your day-to-days. That's also happening. So yes, that's seismic shift. When we talk about, AI as your new coworker, yeah, there's just a matter of time when, I give that I'd give that a 10-year range, but within the next 5 years, probably by 2030, we're looking at, based on your position, AI will be your boss. Make no mistake
Yeah,
about
and to that point, I am seeing where some of the big HR systems that have traditionally been used for time and attendance monitoring, using computer vision and AI to track when employees are actually showing up to work, because they can use
it.
the cameras to do facial recognition, as opposed to, and when my first engineering jobs I ever had, I actually had to punch a clock when I came into work, and
Right.
now systems like Workday and such are capturing your image so they can accurately capture when you're showing up to work, and then also track your movement throughout the facility. It's very Big
Absolutely.
Brother-ish. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, it's already happening in China. So you could best believe it's making its way here in the US. So when you look at that name, the algorithmic restructuring of work, you're also looking at productivity, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. They can
What's the
track
most that
exactly how much time you're
yeah, what's
spending
the
in
most that
various
I'm
different
getting? Right.
activities.
And now, because we live, I always say this, and I want everybody to capture this. Data is the tangible version of your soul. Data is a tangible version of your soul. So check in, right? We just talked about the punch clock. Everything that we do now, we live in an algorithmic world. Everything that we do is algorithmic. Everything that we do is data. From the minute uh, you woke up this morning, tomorrow, Julian, what time you wake up, you know what time because you're already scheduling the time that you're going to wake up, bathroom break, what you're going to do, what time you're going to eat, what time you're going to get on the computer. You probably are going to map that out in the end of Sunday. That's all data. Now I could just store that and don't even worry about the physical you and just worry about this data of this other composite of you,
Mm,
your digital twin,
mhm,
right? So when we talk
mm.
about metaverse, we could talk about it on so many levels, but back to the algorithmic restructuring of work. You mentioned some key points once you come into a building, such as tracking you, monitoring you. I just talked about the level of your productivity. Can you imagine so much other things that we could do that data and the algorithm controls this? Data seeds the algorithm. So I want to make sure that you're very clear in this audience when we talk about these seismic shifts prior to granddad working at a factory to dad to today. We never were data centric as we are now. And so as a
Mm.
result of that, that could be the determining factor. Julian, you may be too young for this position. How about
I
that?
don't think that would necessarily be the
Do you
problem
like
with
the
me,
remix?
but
Did you like the remix? You might be
you're
young
right.
for this position here at
You're right.
Netflix, right? Because the algorithm can now divide the new Willie Lynch could be the algorithm. Let me make that clear. Based on your age, based on your zip code, based on what school you went to, everything is data. Eh, do we want this person at our job? Zuckerberg is hiring right now for his intelligence group. He's looking for a particular person that came from probably these type of schools, Cal Berkeley, University of Chicago, NYU. Oh, you went to Morehouse, you may not have met the algorithm criteria. This is
Mhm.
why I'm talking about the algorithm restructuring of work. Be clear, please ask
Well,
questions.
yeah, and to that point, that leads into the next principle, I think, so perfectly, which is
Mhm.
the algorithmic underclass, automation's threat to workforce equity. So
Yeah,
I want to just make sure that, as for those following at home, because we want to make sure we really kind of touch on each one of these 6 seismic shifts. And what you just were describing, I think, leads into that next seismic shift so perfectly. But again, can you maybe talk a little bit about the algorithmic underclass as you define it?
right. So the same way that I'm talking about these algorithmic shifts that are restructuring work, and we have to now look at the Black, the brown, Latino, and women. And in that, it's to say, and I start with this, if your job is a routine, then it could be automated. Let's start there. And now with that, how many of the jobs when I'm in Miami, and I'm Jamaican, proud Jamaican, when I look at my Caribbean folks that work, where are their jobs in the hospitality industry? Uh-oh, the robots are now doing that because we have the robots now going up the elevators, serving, doing the waiter, everything. And UNLV already has a program in terms of how we can change the sheets, that all the stuff that they would do in cleaning the room, how that could be automated. We could look at the mail, working in the mail room. We could look at, hey, you know what, Tyrone and Shaquita and uh, Jose no longer wants to drop out of school, so they thought they could get a job at Burger King. Now it's the kiosk. Now, working at going to the military, even at the Army, the lowest level of this entry point before you can get to the Air Force, hell, there's criteria. Who's impacted by this? So if your job is routine, it could be automated, number one, and look at the scale of jobs. When it comes to women's, a lot of the jobs that they possess are jobs that present the routine. And I could scale this out because that could be in the home care industry, that could be in beauty industry. Now, on the other side, we could talk about white male truck drivers. That's also a very serious problem. So, what I want to highlight is that it's across the board. When we talk about the algorithmic reshifting of the underclass, it you have it here, and then you also have it there. No one is exempt, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. I see that in every application of especially generative AI across the enterprise. Nobody's safe. So let's move into kind of the next seismic principle with agenic, agenic AI at work. And I think again to level set around what agenic AI is, maybe you could explain that concept to the audience because it
Julian,
really is important.
you're doing a great job. Just call it the word agentic AI, and
Mm.
then tell them what it is.
Say that again.
The word it would be agentic AI,
Hmm.
right? So
Exactly.
so if you want to go ahead and explain what that is, I sure as hell could dive in, no problem. I was
So
listening
the
to how you were calling you were call what were you calling it?
agentic AI.
That's that yeah
So
that's
so having AI bots that have a specific uh, kind of general task to complete for you. So they become your personal agent that can go out and engage with other AIs to accomplish tasks. So it's an AI that isn't like a robot per se that has a specific kind of narrowly defined purpose, but instead has the ability to engage with other systems to accomplish a task that you assign it. So with agentic AI, which is again, it is part of the seismic principle. This is beyond just the traditional automation that we think of
right.
today, and it's an AI agent that has the ability to take a high level task, like say book my trip to Las Vegas, and then break that down into I need to buy an airline ticket, I need to get a hotel, I need to find some ground transportation, and then the AI can actually go to all the various different subsystems that are required in order to accomplish that task. Um, so it's hugely powerful. And then in the dawn of agentic AI, it eliminates again a whole nother kind of category of jobs that traditionally humans have been responsible for.
Absolutely. And
Did that kind of
yeah,
was that a good definition of it, Mike?
yeah, you did a great job, and I'd probably add to it. For me, what I'm really thrilled on with agentic AI is the ability to go from uh, I'd call it 1.0 prompting to now with the and 1.0 prompting is to say that Google search, you type in on Google search, Google is now advanced where you start to type in, and then as you type the first couple of words, it fills in the rest of the words, and then you do a search. Agentic AI will do the search for you. Agentic AI will now move forward to say that not only will I do the search for you, but you know what, Julian? I know your behavior patterns. The fact that, hey, Julian's now taking a trip to Las Vegas. I'll go ahead and book the flight, find the cheapest flight, find the cheapest hotel fare, book all of that, have your credit card, take care of everything for you so that it is done. Now we move from that word tool to the word agent, hence the word agentic. So now we could go from this predictive behavior, which is kind of like I now know what Julian will want to eat in Las Vegas on this date at 5 p.m. I know his favorite thing is some lobster, a shot of whiskey before the lobster. I got it all ordered. Don't worry about man's best friend. I am his best friend. That's the
Perfect.
shift.
You
And
already know me, Mike.
yeah, that's it. And in that shift, one of the things, when we talk about this seismic play, one of the six seismic, this is where we really start to shift from digital labor to this thing called the ultimate labor. And this is all featured in my book, Death of a Job. I encourage you guys to always go to deathofajob.com to pre-order the book. But let's talk about digital labor. And in digital labor, it's to say that thanks to COVID, we've now moved into a world where people are working in this gig economy, and they're working the laptop lifestyle. I call it digital nomads. And there's a lot of them out there that's growing, and that's a new norm, and that's cool. Those are people that are doing that are ushering in this new wave. Well, along with that is the fact that, and I love this for digital nomads, being independent and then being able to create businesses with an agent. And this is when you say lean is mean. Lean is mean is to say that I now have myself, a digital agent, and one intern. And now I have the strength of 300 people. Let me say that
Exactly
again.
right.
Myself, my digital agent, and an intern. And now I have the strength of 300 people. I can run a company and max out $1 million plus per month. We're
That's
in a
exactly
very
right.
exciting time thanks to where we sit, and there's a transition from digital labor to ultimate labor. Ultimate labor is when, just like I said before, when AI is your coworker and then becomes your boss. Let's not forget that part. When AI becomes your boss. The CEO for Anthropic, he made a powerful statement, which is, what did he say? Be prepared for the fact that AI will replace you, will be better than you in every capacity. It's
That's
something
right.
along those lines.
So
AI
that's
will
right.
be better than you in your job across the board. So
And we have to
you have to
understand
level
what it
set.
is that makes us human. So we need to focus on the human aspect of our
That's a
jobs.
very, yes,
Yeah.
that's a very
Yeah.
good point. Yeah, we could talk about that. Let's do that.
Well, and then I just want to make sure we hit all the shifts, right? So
Mhm.
the currency of trust in the age of autonomy. Talk a little bit about that. And I think that conversation leads into what is the currency of trust?
Absolutely. Trust will be, it's the new Bitcoin, the new gold, the new Bitcoin. And I say that because right now we're in a day and age post-COVID in which customer service is broken. I say that to all my friends. Everything that we do, there's, the speed at which society is moving, value and devalue, all this stuff is blurred lines. The one thing that we have is this thing called trust. Let's just look at the astronomer, the scandal that just happened in the news with the astronomer company, whatever, the CEO of the company getting with the chief people officer, both of them married, and here goes the scandal right now
Oh,
in the
I
tech
missed
world.
that one. Sounds
Yeah,
good though.
right.
I want to learn more about that.
So the damage
Sounds
control
scandalous.
of that, as they raise money and what have you, is, do you trust them now? Right? I guess to put it for our audience, it's just to say, I hate to say it this way, but if there was a sex scandal on Trump, do we trust him? Outside of everything else, does that decrease the trust value? And so even when I say that, we now look at the world that we live in, where you could be a criminal to be a president, a convicted criminal to be a president, trust itself is blurred. But it's that one thing that we still have in common as humans that we still value. If you're hungry, can I trust you? If you got my back, can I trust you? If I'm in need, can I trust you? Those things, are a part of us as being humans, that is the currency going forward. It's not
Yeah,
the money, it's not the Bitcoin, it's this thing called trust. That's back to that human factor that you spoke on.
exactly. Yeah, we still need to be able to have relationships where we feel that we can trust the person that is responsible for the AI. So it's not just going to be, the world isn't going to completely turn transactional. There still is going to be the need for some human rapport and understanding and empathy with the other person's position and what needs to get accomplished. So
Absolutely.
I think it's really great that that is one of your core seismic principle, is that there's a real currency in having a relationship, a trusting relationship
Oh,
with a
absolutely.
person outside
Absolutely.
of the AI.
That's a part of
Um,
shaping the future of work. That's a part of these, when the World Economic Forum talks about by 2030, half the jobs haven't even been created. Those jobs lie in the world of empathy. Those jobs lie in the world of compassion. Those jobs lie in the realm of creativity, play. Right?
yep, spot on. And then lastly, and I think probably most importantly, and it was the first thing we actually started talking about when Mike, you were having some of your challenges coming on to the Zoom. The last one being skilled and being a lifetime student, and constantly upskilling yourself personally so that you can remain relevant and competitive. Can you talk a little bit about your thoughts there?
Yeah, my acronym is RUB, RUB, which is reskill, upskill, be skilled. Being skilled is the name of the game. Being skilled, being a lifelong player in this thing called life. That's the world that we are now in. You can never be complacent. Gone are the days of Lucille Ball, Dan Rather, and just being those Bill. I was going to say Bill Cosby, those just veterans, and then just where you're at. Today's person, I think Donald Trump under his leadership is exemplifying that at 70 plus, he's very active. He's active on all fronts. And, when you're now going to be a lifelong student, when you hit 70, that boldness at 70 still needs to remain. And so being skilled is really the movement. So when we go back to this book, Death of a Job, it's really at the end of the day, it's all about being skilled. De-skilled is a word that I have in one of the chapters there, which is de-skilled, reskill, upskilled to be skilled. De-skilled is really focusing on the fact that you live in a routine world. You got to de-skill that, right? You were ask the late night show host, ask the folks at Microsoft, ask the folks at Indeed that were complacent in their jobs. Now that's a de-skilling. The reskilling is, oh shit, what do I do now? Oh, now I got to upskill. I got to repeat. And that's a new cycle. And that's
Mhm.
called being skilled, right? The new gang, the new movement, be skilled.
What do you encourage people to do as they scrutinize their current jobs and think about how generative AI might displace them to that point? What do you suggest they do?
That's a very good question. And I talk about this again in the book, the website, deathofajob.com. These are things that you want to remember. Find your tribe. There's some people that I see in the audience that I recognize and that are kind of connected with me. So if you know me, you're finding your tribe. Who are like minds that I can talk to, confide in, as I navigate the future, because the person next to you is doing the same thing. So you might as well find like minds to say,
Mm.
hey, here's what I use. And this is a great example already. People that know me, I used to use Pi.ai while everybody was on ChatGPT. I was on Pi. Pi went over to Lambda. Lambda went over to Perplexity. Perplexity went over to uh, what else am I using? But I noticed that people would ask me what I'm using, and then they start using it. Then as they use that, the next person, hey, I found this, right? You want to build that community in which local is the new global in all aspects, whether it's business, whether it's you and your place where you reside. If it's North Carolina, if it's Ohio, if it's Utah, local is the new global. So you want to find your tribe of people and what they're doing. Another thing that I would say is to seize opportunity. We are in an opportunity economy. An opportunity is this golden thing. It's a part of what's ushering in this abundance. So seize opportunity. Listen to political leaders that are out there who've already captured that word, the abundance economy. And then third, what I would say, and this is funny, the side hustle. If you're from LA to New York, Chicago, the economy is so high that you got to find a side hustle. AI in this era that we're living in. Do your job currently, learn AI, read Death of a Job the book, get the book to learn now. I need to develop a side hustle. And this side hustle is a part of your new economic stream in terms of this future, the furtherance of where work is. And in there, two positions that I highly recommend is being the AI prompter and also AI consultant, leveraging those mid managers that just lost their job. AI needs everyone. And that's what I would conclude with. AI needs everyone. Wait till when you see what I'm doing next after this book. AI needs Julian. AI needs the person in Zimbabwe to the person in Vietnam, because there's a new digital being that is happening, that is emerging. And I would always say, when I talk about the digital pandemic, it's AI. What was once over there has now moved to near, has now moved to here. You saw it on TV, then it got close, then you found somebody that got COVID, and then all of a sudden it got real near. That's how you got to look at AI. And that AI is now a digital being that's morphing. And so when we look at why I say that everybody has to get involved, it's actually, you heard it here first, it's your responsibility to be involved just as much as you consume air, because the world has never seen a transformation like this before.
Well, speaking of getting involved, I wanted to open up the forum to our tribe here as we find our tribe,
Yeah.
and allow the audience to take this wonderful opportunity to ask questions across all of these seismic shifts, or even outside of that. I know that I've kind of dominated the questioning so far. I want to turn it over to the tribe and open the floor up to questions.
And Ghazi, I know that you had your hand up before Mike came in. Do you have a comment or a question for Mike?
No, thank you.
Okay.
And you can go ahead and just unmute yourself and chime right in.
Go ahead, Carla.
Yeah, great energy, Mike, and just thank you for bringing it to the forefront and just putting it out there. So, question, I mean, there's so many different resources in terms of where do people go? What's a dependable industry or place where people can get those AI skills now? If you're saying, he's right, I need to move, I need to pivot, where do people go?
Right. So, it's very interesting that you would pose that question, because you're in the HR space, and just for the audience, she's someone that I'm working with, Ms. Hill, someone that I'm working with the Depth of a Job project, in which those that are very interested to say, hey, I want to get involved, I don't want to be left out, we've created our own assessment. And so Carla, with her 30 plus years of experience in HR, I wanted not only just to create a book that you read, digest, but hey, what is the experience? We want to move from memory to experience. So in that experience, now let's go ahead and do an assessment of what your skills are. And we've hyper focused this around AI, because AI is really what is seeding the future of work in all industries. So, Carla, for your question there, it's almost to say, and I use the folks that just got laid off because it was a big number. Now it's for them to find their passion. And here's what you see on LinkedIn. I worked for Intel for 15 years. Carla, you know how it goes. And then they put out the sob story on LinkedIn, and now I'm available for hire. Let's first start with what you may want to do for yourself and see how AI could leverage that. And that's why you and I partnered, because that became a unique dynamic that I saw as a futurist, to say, hey, I want to start where they're at. I've heard that phrase so many times. Let's start where they're at to then plant the seed that grows the tree. And with your years of experience, that helped me to say, you know what, in the refinery of where we sit with AI, this whole workforce development, this transformation, you've been laid off or you're an entrepreneur looking to get in the game. It's really about what is your passion, and then leveraging AI to succeed and make your business sustainable.
Exactly. I mean, in terms of aligning with your design, you know, somebody talked, I think she worked for a movie firm, right? So there are creative opportunities in AI, right? Whether you are that solution designer, where you're the algorithm designer, she's a design person, people that are more people focused, that are community focused, there's still a need to maybe be a project manager or a user specialist, because there's going to be a whole bunch of people that don't understand AI, and there's going to be organizations that need people that have the technical skills that can support the group of seniors, the group of immigrants. I mean, it's so that's still a need. So it's find, just like you said, Mike, you have to find out what your motivation is or what your passion is and break that down and then bring your best stuff to the marketplace. And, you know, in terms of that intellectual, that person that's more systematic, there's tons of research out there. Mark Zuckerberg is doing, you know, on point headhunter. He's calling those AI specialists because he wants them to work for Meta, right? So, and just in terms of the people that like attention, that like that validation, that recognition, there's this whole thing on being an AI ethics advisor, because the education system, they're being caught behind because the students, the college students, are using it, and then the teachers, the instructors, and the university people, oh, this is plagiarism. It's too far out. So we are going to have to be creative on what the values are going to be, right? It's already here. You can't unring the bell. It's already done. And then the executives that want, hey, we need to just make money. You know, how are we going to incorporate AI into our operations? And there's this whole thing of chief AI officers, right? You know, so it's, to Mike's point, it's something there for everyone, but you have to find out. We use the term SWOT analysis for business, but we don't say SWOT analysis for people. You have to understand your own strengths, your weaknesses, what are the opportunities for you, and what are the threats on the job. You don't have to look too far on what the threats are, right? So,
Yeah.
you know,
Well
it's
said.
just that credibility
said.
of where you get the AI skills now. I think community college, but it's an opportunity for educational institutions that can move fast, because you got to, like Mike talks fast, he does everything fast. So it's like finding those organizations that are going to keep up with how things are changing.
Okay.
And Lorraine, did you have a question? Did you want to ask a question? Lorraine, I know you had your hand up there.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the consultancy and making the pivot from, okay, you learned these skills, you discovered who you are in this new space of AI and technology. Now you have to go and create those connections.
Absolutely. So I'll use you as an example. What is it? What is your skill set? You don't have to unmute. You might want to unmute. What is your current skill or current job that you possess now?
I work in media management and post-production. And so my skill set is in generative AI for creative work, also in workflows for remote work flows in post-production.
Okay.
And it will be engineering prompting.
Do you feel as if your current job is in danger as a result of AI, that you need to now do something else for your own brand, or are you comfortable with the company that you're with since you're doing AGI?
Well, my company laid off most of my leadership, so they did exactly what you said, which is lay off the leadership, keep the workers. And then, so I don't really know with the merging with Skydance, I don't know what that vision is. I do know my department is expanding because we're in tech and finance, and we are really building the automations.
Right. So here's what I'll say for you, and this is for the audience. For the company that you work with, no names included, pay attention to what's going on. That's a part of be aware, this awareness of what's going on. And in today's workforce, where it's no longer granddad who worked for the company 30 years and then got a trophy or something, you're now looking at your brand equity, and that's the only IP that will matter, your brand equity, not IP itself. So ideals will also be obsolete. I want to make that clear. IP will be obsolete thanks to ideal to AI. You can just crank it out so much. Knowledge and all that stuff is free. But what you want to really look at right now in this changing in the guard era that we're ushering in is the experience that you have leveraging that in the world of AI. And so here's a company that I'm consulting with right now called Huge, which is all about AI filmmaking. Everybody could write that down and see it. I'm doing a lot right now with AI and music, content creation, and as a platform rewarding people. So tied into the book, Death of a Job and the Future of Work, here under the seismic shift, I didn't cover content economy, which is super big. And that's one that I'm very excited for the culture, especially because all you need is a smartphone, and your smartphone makes you an enabler to be able to have the opportunity to monetize, whether you're from the streets of LA to New York, London, Ghana, wherever. It allows you to have this never before opportunity to monetize. We got to think about that. That's something epic.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so,
and to that point, I do, in the interest of time, I want to say everybody here has spent some time thinking about this, and so kudos to everybody who's on this call for giving this some mind share, and allowing Mike to present his concept, and it was so insightful. And so I do want to turn it over to Michael to wrap us up as we approach the top of the hour here.
Yeah, and I also do want to thank Mike. We did get through our technical difficulties. You delivered an excellent explanation of the 6 different shifts. You got the content creator economy in there, and one thing that really stood out to me was you talking about find your tribe, right? And so that's what the Closed Private Investment Network is, CPIN. It's a tribe. It's a community of like-minded people who practice cooperative group economics. Cooperative group economics is not about me or any one person trying to maximize their profit. It's about maximizing the benefit of the community that we belong to. And so I encourage everyone to join the CPIN network. I am putting the link in the chat. And remember, it's community, education, investments, and it's in that order. We are building communities with events like this, our weekly Talk About It series. We have a knowledge center that has a breadth of different financial courses, including some courses on AI. And then it's about investments. The one thing that AI is doing is it's creating a bigger disparity between the haves and the have-nots. You're either going to be a producer or you're going to be a consumer. And so you have to decide what you're going to do, and you have to do it strategically. And so CPIN gives you the tools, the education, and the investment opportunities to be on the producer side, to own appreciating assets, to be able to get in early on young companies that are in the AI industry. And so, again, I encourage everyone to visit thecpi.network. It's an invitation-only platform, so I am personally inviting each of you to join. We are in our infancy, but we are getting ready to do big things. And so with that, I thank everybody for coming. Hope to see you next week when we talk about a different topic. Next week's topic will be about practicing cooperative group economics and pooling your money to invest in real estate and to be able to invest in a piece of income producing real estate with as little as $500. And I invite you to bring 2 friends with you next time. All right. With that, everybody have a good night and stay blessed.
All right. Good night, everyone. Great job.
Night. Thank you.
Thanks.